Staring death in the face, all my mistakes have got a hold on me again. Here we go, another day, another fork in the road. I never know who to trust. Will someone just tell me which way to go? And I need a sign, I need a miracle. I need to know that this is possible. I just failed so many times. Is there any way that I can make it right? God, if you're there, I need to hear you now. Come back to me, love, I forgive you. Oh, how I've missed you. Just know every time you run, I'll be right here waiting. This is no ordinary love. Listen up, listen up. This is no ordinary love. Listen up, this is unconditional. I'm so afraid to admit that you're real, 'cause I'm afraid of what I might feel when your words start to come to life. It brings my demons into the light, but I know you're here. I shiver as you whisper in my ear. Child, have no fear. Come back to me, love, I forgive you. Oh, how I miss you. Just know every time you run, I'll be right here waiting. Come back to me, love, and I hope you know I'm
All right, guys, welcome back to the Death by Tyranny podcast. I'm trying out a few different songs for the new intro. For those of you that do not know, that is a cover. Obviously, I can't play the original one or I'd get copyright strike because this is streaming to YouTube and Facebook, and I'd probably get like the double axe. But it is a cover from Memphis Mayfire. They are a Christian rock band. And I don't know if you guys were listening very carefully to the words of that song, but it has a very deep message. It means a lot to me. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. It's a little bit different than the Nick Fuentes intro that I had. It just had a little bit of profanity in it, and I felt like maybe, and not that I'm against cussing here at all, just what I'm going to be talking about for the next couple of podcasts, and hopefully it comes, turns into something bigger, because I would like it to be almost like a series or a project, and it's not so much to make content, to blow up or get followers or anything like that. It's a project that's really just more so personal to me. And I was looking into it today, and it looks like I might be able to get things going a little faster than I thought I was going to be able to, just because there's a lot of financials involved, and I'm not in a position where I can do a whole lot financially. So I'm still at the point where I'm not comfortable saying who it is. Just know that they're very close to me. They've been diagnosed with prostate cancer, and at this point, all I know is there's only a couple of options, and he's chose the path. So I don't know what that means. I don't know if that means we have, hopefully another long 30 years, or if it means we have 9 months. I don't know. I really don't. And this person he's my best friend. So to imagine something or just life in general without him is tough. And I know I've listened to other podcasts when they talk about losing family members, And a lot of those are, people like, I believe Black Rifle Coffee did one about losing, a parent or something like that. And if they could do anything, they wanted to take him on like a bear hunt because that was like his dream. And for those of you who don't know, going on a bear hunt is very extensive. The planning takes years sometimes. If you can even do it, you have to go into a remote area of like Alaska where, there is no cell service, no nothing. You're out there with you, the guide, that's it. It's a very intimate, passionate thing. And as much as I would like to do that, that's like not even fathomable, the amount of money that would cost. Not to mention, you have to go out and buy all brand new gear and everything like that. Excuse me one second. I'm going to try not to get choked up when I talk about it. But so I was thinking, what could I possibly do that, it means something to me. It is also very, very personable and passionate to him, and also could be passed down through legacies. Something that, come my time, I would be able to do with my son. And I think most of the people that know me know that I'm fairly into firearms. That's kind of like my number one passion, if not my only passion. And for the most part, we focused on like 100 yards and in, right? We're just civilians. We're not in the military or law enforcement, so there's never really been a reason that has arose that we would need to go out past 100 yards, because after that point we're probably going to prison, right? But the person I'm talking about does from time to time go out and take a small 22, nothing big, and do a little bit of precision shooting. So what I would like to do is I would like to build a MK12 Mod 1, because my passion in the gun community is cloning. I like to clone military sidearms, and the MK12 Mod 0, Mod 1, both of them, they're very, very capable rifles. They're SPRs, they're special purpose rifles. They were designed to take the 5.56 and send them out a little bit further than what they're supposed. And so that would be a good platform to start building and get to learn how to take that 5.56 round out to a little bit further distance. And the more I looked into it, in my head, I had this idea that we could get out to about 1,000 yards. Well, I don't know, and I'm sure quite a few of you know, if you're into guns and you're watching this, taking a 5.56 round out to 1,000 yards, that's not an easy task. So I don't know. Like I said, we might not have a huge window of time to play with here. Not to mention, I have to scramble the financials. Not to mention, I also have to source all the parts. One of the worst and best thing about the clone community is some of these parts you can't get. Sometimes you can get them for a little bit on the civilian market, but then they get the contract from the military. The military buys them all up. They can't fulfill the contract, so they pull it off the civilian market. And then by the time it would come back to the civilian market, sometimes they discontinue it. The technology's old. I'll give you an example of the cloning community and what I'm talking about part-wise, and why I need the help. And that way, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you have a little bit better understanding of it all. But to get back to the point, I'd like to build this MK12. And I know that he already knows some of the basics when it comes to precision shooting. And so I have to source, fund, and build the MK12. Then I would like to start taking my weekends, the weekends I can, that I don't have to work, and go learn some of that ballistic data, some of the information that he has, and then the information that's missing between us, we can learn together. And then hopefully at some point, I would like to at least make it out to 500 yards. There's not a whole lot of ranges in Ohio where you can reach out and go that far. There are places in Kentucky where you can do it. I'm trying to think of Knob Creek, for example. I do believe they have a 50 cal you can shoot when they do their thing down there at Knob Creek. So I would imagine there's some shooting ranges down there you can stretch out a little bit. A buddy at work told me that he thinks his range has about a 600 yard, but I could be wrong. So that's another thing I have to do as well. Somewhere in, southern Ohio, or somewhere hopefully a lot closer, more towards Montgomery County, Ohio, or Miami County, Ohio, I can find a range where there's at least 500 to 600 yard range, and then we can kind of share that time together. If that's our last bit of time that we spend, it will be developing a great skill to have, something that I can pass down to my kids. And if you do some of the research, if you're not into, gun nerd shit or whatever, just watch the movie Lone Survivor. Two of the Navy SEALs that are portrayed in that movie are carrying MK12s. The yellow one that Mark Wahlberg is carrying is a Mod Zero, and the other one, the guy that just gets like fucked all to hell, he's carrying a Mod 1. And really, one of the only difference is I believe they switched up the stocks a little bit. Some of it was personal, you could decide, or whatever you had at the moment. But for the most part, it's the rail. Now, the Mod 1 rail is very hard to source right now. I'd say about 6 months ago, you could probably pick them up for about $400. Right now, they're going on Gunbroker up to $1,000. So we may have to change the handguard itself. And actually, I do have an upper that I'm looking at. Hopefully, I can contact the person that owns the business. He builds uppers and uses a lot of surplus parts. And he has a MK12. He calls it the Mod T, which is cool because it's like all the things that make it clone correct with all the stuff that makes it modern. Like it's got a modern Geisley rail, but it still has the same exact barrel you would find in the military MK12. It's still an 18-inch barrel. It's still stainless steel. It's still 1-in-7 twist. So it's still going to be able to dial in that 77 grain Black Hills open tip match bullet very well. Now, one of the harder parts is going to be sourcing a scope. I would imagine that a lot of scopes would work, and if we start running out of time and we don't get any help financially, like I said, I'm not going to ask for money. If somebody wants to donate parts here and there, I'm more than glad to accept those type of things, but I'm not going to be doing a GoFundMe. I think GoFundMe is corrupt. I'm not going to be asking anybody to send money to my PayPal, just because there's too much there for error and bad blood, right? I don't want people to send me money and then me use it on, a front site post, or I'm sorry, not a front site post, but like a CAC front site, and then they try to say that I used it for, everyday needs, and I just don't want that. But I would like if the, community, anybody who thinks this is a worthy cause, something special, wants to get that project done a little bit quicker, or, might want to see some of that process laid out. Because if you go on YouTube, there's not a whole lot out there. I mean, there's some guys that are building some clones, but for the most part, they're like, here's my hodgepodge, bullshit that I made. It's supposed to be this. They shoot it a couple times and they go, yeah, could be better. But you never get to see them go on the internet. You never get to see them have the conversation with the old school guys that know all about these parts. There are people on Instagram that would blow your mind. I mean, they can literally read you the military hand manual on some of these guns. And I'm hoping that after this video is done, after we're not live anymore, because it won't let me go live to Instagram using my camera and my mic, I will post it there, because that's where a lot of these people in the clone community is. And hopefully they'll reach out to me and want to at least give me guidance to help the process go a little bit quicker. And I want to document all that. I mean, obviously, if people don't want their names in it, if they say, hey, I'd rather not, be on screen, I'd rather you not show things, I completely understand that. With today's, ATF and who's in office, I totally get that. But if they want to be a part of it, I have the ability to bring them on as a guest. I have them the ability to have them come on and tell people why they're so passionate about cloning, as well as I would love to find people that have that experience with that precision shooting, with taking an MK12 out to 500-600 yards, and how intimate that can truly be. And normally you have a spotter, so it's kind of a two-person gig anyways, right? I believe in the military, when you qualify, you have somebody that makes that win call for you before you crack that shot. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Now, some people aren't going to understand this, okay? Because I've explained this to one or two people in my personal life, and they just don't get it. They go, he means so much to you, and if, God forbid, knock on wood, something was to happen, the last thing you're going to do is build a gun and go shooting. And I don't think they understand that that's like our thing. Like the reason that I get up in the morning and get excited, other than my family, is firearms. And he was that person that put that there. That fire will forever burn in me. And it's already starting to develop in my son. So it's not just building a gun and going shooting, at least not to me. And I spoke with him today, and it kind of seems like he feels the same way, which, just makes me super happy. And he's trying to help with it. He wants to try to help fund some of the build aspect of it, because it's going to be so much money. I mean, it's easily going to hit a couple grand. The scope alone is probably going to be a couple grand, to be honest. And I'm trying to avoid that at all cost. I don't, maybe it's he thinks he doesn't have a lot of time, so money doesn't really matter to him. I don't know what it is, but for any given number of reasons, I don't want him to have to stress financially. I would rather have that burden on me and try to reach out to the gun community. Now, another reason why I want to record the process, another reason why I want to go in depth, another reason why I want to talk about cloning, another reason why I want to talk about building firearms, and another reason why I want to talk about people in the gun community reaching out and helping other people. This isn't my first time that tragedy has struck my family. It wasn't a life or death situation, but I did run into a financial situation where I crushed my arm at work. I had my elbow locked for about 9 months, and I couldn't work. And during those 9 months, the first 3 months of that time, the employer was fighting me, and I didn't get any compensation at all. I actually had to fire my lawyer and get a new lawyer, and the case is still kind of ongoing, so I don't know how much I can talk about it. But long story short, I almost lost everything. The house that I am in right now, I went to ask for financial help. This is one of the reasons why I absolutely cannot stand how they work welfare and what they do to pick and choose and help the people that they do. They told me I made too little to help, that I was going to lose my house no matter what. And I wasn't even asking for so much money a month, blah, blah, blah. It was just kind of like a one-time help paying 1 or 2 months of rent to catch up so I didn't lose my house. And they're like, you make too little money, so you're going to lose your shit anyways, so we're not going to help you. How does that make any sense? Now, I know why they did that. It was a pretty, crazy time. Now this has been about 2000, late 2017, 2018, when you've seen a lot of, laws start to implement where they can't say no to certain minorities, and so the budgets were getting stretched a little bit. So I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but that just has always left a bad taste in my mouth. But you know who did help me? Somebody in the gun community. Now, they didn't just, obviously say, here's the money. I just want to help. And I wouldn't ask for that. But I did have a pretty rare, still to this day, I don't know a whole lot of people who have them, AK. And he didn't talk me down. He didn't try to lowball me or snake me. He didn't say, hey, send me the gun and I'll PayPal you the money. He immediately sent me the funds and said, send me the gun when you get a chance. If you're ever in a position where you can buy it back, it'll be here sitting in my safe. I have plenty of guns. I don't need it. I just want to help. And I've told that story before, and a lot of people in the gun community know this person. And I don't know if he wants that information out there because I don't want like people to expect him to help them like that. I'll just leave it at he's a very known member in the AK community, and he's a great guy. Great husband and wife duo, and I love everything they do. They have great videography and everything they do on Instagram. They're killing it. They make great parts, and once we forget about me telling this story, I will bring them up again one day and maybe highlight their business and hopefully shine the spotlight on them a little bit. But that's an example of the gun community coming to someone, not a military veteran, but just a normal person that needed help, and making sure that they didn't lose their house in a time of need. And this is one of those times I'm hoping something like that can happen, whether it be the clone correct sling or bipod or the flip up side or the charging handle, or they know somebody who has this or that, just or this information, or this helps with this ballistics, or if you can't find this ammo, da 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 da, and just something to show the gun community that we don't always have to be veteran against civilian. Because if you ever just take a step back for a moment, even if you look at a company, no matter how you feel about them politically, but Black Rifle Coffee, let's take them for example. If you've seen the way they go out of their way to protect, help, and just totally change the lives of the veterans, why can't we have that amongst all the gun community? All the libertarians out there that say they want less power from government, you know how that happens? That happens by good people, good civilians, taking over the healthcare industry, taking care of our own. But we can't even have civilians help, the veterans, and the veterans help the civilians sometimes in the gun community. They would rather fight amongst each other. The veterans are too busy calling the civilians LARPers, and the civilians are too busy saying that the military people that most times aren't even in the military anymore are going to come take their guns, or that they're feds, or da 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 da. It just goes on and on and on. Wouldn't it be awesome if we could see some of the amazing things that happens in the veteran community branch out, bleed into the gun community overall? That's how we win. That's how we win legislation. That's how we win as a community. A lot of people say this, and I'm not trying to encompass all civilians or all veterans. I know there are veterans out there that say, hey, civilians are LARPers, but we are too. Until the day comes where those bullets are hitting real people, we're just as much as LARPers as anybody else. And I respect the hell out of that. And there's obviously civilians that 100% support the military and donate to companies like Black Rifle Coffee's organizations, at least their charity organizations, to make sure that those military members that sacrifice so much can still go out and do cool shit. So why can't we just bridge that gap? So hopefully during this process, during this project, I will not only become, have something to bring me and this person very close. We'll learn a new skill. We'll get to show people that haven't seen the clone community before a little bit deeper. I'm not an expert by any means in any of this, so I'll be learning along the way. And I think it's pretty common knowledge that everybody learns different. So sometimes if you get somebody that knows everything and they just come on here and they just spout shit off, that doesn't really help anybody. But what if you could watch somebody that just knew as much as you did and learn the process with you? So I'm hoping we can accomplish a lot here. It's going to be taking the podcast in a different direction. I will still obviously try to make it to where it is still enjoyable to listen to for the people who can only do the audio only. Obviously, some of these things you might want to watch on YouTube or Facebook or wherever else I might post it. Should be on the screen somewhere, right there or up there somewhere. And that way you can see some of these parts. Because like I said, some of these parts, they don't sell them anymore. So you have to source them from places like Instagram and other places. One of these days, I tell you what, the next thing I do, if I ever do another project to ask the community for help, I want a fucking on-air sign. You know how many times people walk in here while I'm live and they just la-di-da-di-da. I finally soundproofed this room. Now, I don't suggest going back and watching my old videos because a lot of it is political, and I have some opinions that a lot of people don't agree with, and you'll probably look at me a different way, especially if we're going in a different direction, trying to bring communities together and do kind of a passion project. You might not want to go back too far in the archive. I did just post on Facebook, this is the 1-year anniversary of the Death by Tyranny podcast. We are 62 episodes deep. I wish I could be more consistent. Like I said, I've had times where I just have to work every single day of the week. And I was getting to the point where I was coming on here and I was still doing the podcast, but it was so low energy that it was almost pointless. And sometimes it was about things that I really cared about. And it made me feel like an asshole because I'm coming on here talking about something I'm extremely passionate about, trying to get you guys hyped up about it. And I look like I'm half retarded or half asleep or something. So it didn't make sense to me. I don't think that door shut all the way, so there's probably going to be a little bit of noise. Now, I do want to show you guys a couple of things to try to see where we can go to start this out. But because we are streaming live to YouTube, I don't know how long they watch it to make sure we follow the rules. I know it's like 90 seconds. If you cuss in 90 seconds, they demonetize it. I've seen that smaller channels can get away with saying words that they're not supposed to say as long as they delete the video afterwards. But I don't plan on deleting this. So I'm trying to give it a little bit of time before we get into it, because if I do it too early and they watch it, they're going to give me a strike. And if I plan on doing this project, I can't really afford to get the YouTube channel banned, because I would imagine once I start posting these videos to Instagram, which I'm extremely nervous about, they're probably going to go to YouTube, because most of the people on Instagram are kind of over Facebook. That's just where my friends and family still are, so that's why I post these podcasts over there. All right? But I'm extremely nervous to post over on Instagram for a couple of reasons. Some of the people that are kind of familiar with the gun community, maybe even a little bit of the hype beast community where they do drops every so often, yada yada yada. I talk to a lot of the owners of those companies, and so if I post something on there, they're going to be seeing me in a different light, not as a customer, but as somebody trying to start their own business. So I'm sure they will be kind. I'm sure if they say something, it will be something nice, or at least constructive criticism. Uh, but in the back of my head, it's still going to be there that these people that I look up to, that I watch their content are going to be looking at me and kind of judging what I'm doing here. And that's how big things start, right? A lot of the people just in Black Rifle alone, when they were starting out, they went out and they seen other people's videos. They invited them to come out, and then one thing led to another. And now these people have, tons of businesses that have branched off on behalf of that. Um, we'll leave names out because I still think he's active duty, but I do from time to time talk to one of the owners of one of the hype companies that does the drops or whatever. I remember the day he told me about the idea, and it was the same day that I said, I want to start a podcast. I don't know if it's going to work. I'm kind of nervous about it. And he kind of told me, go for it, man. What's the worst that can happen? If you don't like it, stop doing it. And at that time, he just wanted to release a couple of patches. Now I would assume, I would imagine he's actually doing pretty well because he does, shirt drops, all kinds of clothing. He's doing collabs with bigger companies, companies like Warm Fuzzy, Soup Def, Five Guys. I mean, so just that one patch, that one conversation where we were on Instagram talking and he said, hey, I think I have this idea, led into a huge business opportunity for him. Now, obviously, my podcast hasn't reached the levels of any of those guys' business. Maybe this does it. But this project was never meant to be that. And to be honest, if nothing like that comes out of it, it won't break my heart. This is totally something beyond that. Like I said, if at the end of the day, I can get the rifle built, and me and this, will just say person, me and this man, get to hit steel at 500-600 yards. That's all that matters to me. The more the community helps, huge plus. The more the community is involved, the more that they want to maybe come on here and talk about things, or the more they have that they can offer the project, the better the content's going to be, the more we'll have to talk about on the podcast. But it's not about gaining followers. It's not about getting free shit. I honestly don't care about any of that. In fact, I am going probably I'm going to go work overtime tonight, so I can't stay on here too long. I'm going to try to hit the hour mark, show you guys a few things, and then I'll probably hop off of here. But the first step in the project is we are going to, I'm trying not to, I want to say the business, but if I do, he only has one. So if I tell you guys this and you guys go buy it, then it's kind of ruined. You know what I mean? So there's a company in Kentucky that sources surplus, firearm parts. He builds a lot of uppers, a lot of cool, unique things. And I think I spoke about this a little bit earlier. He has an MK12. It's not exactly a Mod 1. I think I said that he calls it a Mod T, and that's because he's put a modern rail on it. But other than that, it's the same. So the first step in this process is I'm going to contact him because the person that I want to do this with that is sick, he wants to help fund the upper, which is one of the biggest financial hurdles we have to cross, because I kind of spoke to him and said, hey, I don't want to jinx it. I don't want to say we only have this amount of time. Hopefully we have until 30 years from now. But in case, I think we should start doing something where we can spend more time together because we live about an hour apart. And he works a lot. I work a lot. Like I said, I don't want to give it away, but I get I'm a workaholic. I get it from him. And he was so excited that when I started showing him parts, he said, absolutely, get a hold of the guy, see if you can go pick it up tomorrow. But the problem is this guy runs a website. He doesn't have a storefront. And just like me, and once again, this is probably where I get it, UPS has been losing gun parts. And now it's come out that they're doing it on purpose. They say that they're only doing it for ghost guns because of the new Biden legislation, which is bullshit. They're just going to 3D print them anyways, not to mention the other 300 million guns that are on the streets in criminals' hands that they know nothing about. So, God forbid somebody sell a piece of plastic. But anyways, UPS is using this in a way that they can just destroy your package. And somehow, as of right now, they're doing it legally. I do know that there are lawsuits underway, but it's still going to happen. And it's ironic because if you go back towards the beginning when I started this, one of the first rants I ever did wasn't on UPS exactly, but it was on the United States Postal Service because they lost a $1,200 upper. And of course, the guy I bought it off of didn't insure it, so I was out $1,200. To this day, they lost a military surplus you cannot get anymore with the muzzle brake that I need for this project. So that would have helped. To this day, they have no idea where it is. They've already closed my claim. They didn't reimburse me any money because the guy didn't insurance. And as soon as you say, hey, it's a gun upper, whether it is the lower half that you need the FFL for or not, USPS will not help you. They do not care. They will tell you dead to your face, shouldn't be shipping gun parts, even though it is 100% legal to ship gun parts as long as it's not, obviously the lower with the trigger mechanism in it. But they don't care. They're ignorant. They are a federal agency, which means they're half retarded. Then, I shit you not, a month later, I try to build it because I found the complete one. Obviously, I can't drop another $1,200, so I decide I'll buy it piece by piece. So I buy the barrel. The box gets here. Guess what? There's a hole in the corner of the box, and I mean, it looked like the guy did a pretty decent job on like taping the thing up, but it almost looked like somebody tore the tape off, pulled the barrel out of the protection wrapping, put it all back in there, and taped it back up. I swear to you, if I have pictures one day, maybe I'll bring them up and show you guys. So within a month and a half, USPS, United States Postal Service, lost a $1,200 upper that you cannot get anymore. And then they lost a barrel that you can probably get the barrel still, but the barrel was an issued barrel. I think it was, I'm not sure I can't remember what it was marked now. I want to say that it was used in Syria. So this was like a legit surplus, MK18 barrel. I was so mad. I felt so bad for the young ladies that work at my local post office. My postmaster knows me very well. I'll just put it that way. But now here we are 3-4 years later, and it comes out that UPS is legitimately destroying packages, and up to a year now has been telling people that they're losing these packages. When in all reality, if they have any reason to believe that it might be a ghost gun, which probably means any gun parts, they are destroying them. So that's also going to be an issue and a dilemma in the process because these parts are hard to find. A lot of these parts I'm going to have to source out from other states, and we're down to one car. I can't It's an 8.1 liter. Gas is like $5 a gallon. It would cost me $1,000 to travel everywhere and get all these parts. So I'm starting to ramble here, but the point is the first part of this process is I have to contact this business owner that has a website but doesn't have a storefront. And I don't know that he's going to be comfortable with me going and picking up the upper. I would imagine if I say, hey, I have, so much amount of money, I would like to come buy this upper, but I want to do it in person. And I would imagine he doesn't have his shop address online for a reason. So I don't know how that's going to go. So I will probably let you guys know that tomorrow. I still have to come up with some of the funds. I think I have a way. And like I said, the other half, the of the partnership here, the one who is sick, he's helping fund it. So I'm hoping the owner of this company makes an exception because he doesn't feel comfortable with them shipping a $1,300-$1,400 upper through the mail, and it's only 3 hours away. So I told him that whatever he couldn't come up with financially, I would try, and I would reach out to the business owner and try to go pick it up myself, because otherwise he doesn't want to do it, which I completely understand, because I've personally lost an upper that almost cost the same exact amount of money through the same postal service that this guy's going to be shipping the upper through. Now, he's a business, so he's probably smart enough to insure it, but if the box gets here and it's empty, it's still a no-go. It's still a pain in the ass to try to make that insurance claim. And it's not fast, for one, and as soon as you mention the word gun, you can forget about it. That now they say some of this stuff is covered, but I promise you, you go to the United States Postal Service and tell them that they lost a military rifle. They're going to first correct you and say assault rifle, and then they're going to say, sorry, our policy doesn't cover that. So having insurance on it is almost fucking pointless. Now, with the upper that I lost, I believe they found it. I don't think that as soon as they found out what it was, I think they were a little bit more concerned about finding it, but I never got it back. I did, however, find out that the United States Postal Service has an internal investigation department for each state. The one for Ohio is in Cincinnati. I can't remember the, ABCD, whatever they're called, but I'm pretty sure it's the United States Postal Service Investigation Department. I could be wrong. But what these guys do is they look into postal fraud. I'd imagine they are some of the people that looked into some of the ballot stuff. They look into identity theft through mail. But they also have a quote-unquote SWAT team that will go in when there is internal theft and SWAT their asses while they're at work. Now, I was told from somebody in this internal investigation department that they couldn't talk about it, but they did indeed find that somebody was stealing packages at one of their distribution centers in Indiana, which is where my upper was last, scanned. So I believe that's what happened to it. And because it was, obviously they had some internal investigation, maybe it'll show up one day, but I'm not holding my breath. That was 3 or 4 years ago. I'm surprised the ATF didn't call me and try to get me in trouble, because they've done that too. So, needless to say, I've had my fair share of fucking shipping gun parts, not to mention I have to use my wife's PayPal email because my PayPal email is banned from existence because somebody put gun parts in the comments. And that wasn't my first PayPal to get banned. I've been doing this for a long time. I've been trading and buying gun parts and guns on Facebook pretty much since you were able to do it. So I know a few tricks of the trade. And along those ways, I've been I've been scammed. I've had things stolen from me. I've had people accuse me of not sending packages. The whole nine. Like I've literally seen it all. And it's really, really hard to tell. That's why I'm hoping, and one of the reasons why, even though I'm nervous to post this to Instagram, the reason why I'm doing it is because I'm hoping that some of the business owners, some of the more credible people in the gun community will see this and reach out to me and let me know how they can help. And like I said, I'm not necessarily asking for money. That's not at all what I'm doing. I don't want money. Um, and even if it's knowledge, if they want to sit back and DM back and forth and kind of school me on some of the background and the best way to set them up and what are the best scope options if I can't find the scopes that were issued, whatever help. I'm not picky. I'm just looking for any and whatever help I can get, but hopefully it's from a little bit more credible people because I have ran into some issues on Instagram. And for anybody that has concerns on my end, I definitely have some references of the bigger gear pages on Instagram that I can always have, reach out to them and let them reach out to you and let them know that I'm legit. That's not to say I've had my fair share of disagreements uh, trading gun parts or whatever, but for the most part, I believe that I am definitely a stand-up guy. I always keep my word. It's just, sometimes somebody forgets to mention a scratch and then they want to knock $100 off and then it's a big deal. But there shouldn't be any of that because I'm even if it is a thrashed part, I'm totally cool with it. Like I said, it's a fucking MK12, dude. The more beat up it is, the better it's gonna look. Matter of fact, let me while we're on here, since I can't touch a gun since I'm live, which I'm going to anyways. Go fuck yourself, YouTube. I'll pull up some pictures. Hopefully, I hate Google. They always want to bring up pictures of just the gun. You try to get pictures of like the weapon in country, like over in Afghanistan, and you can hardly ever find decent pictures. I wonder why, right? It's almost like they don't want you to know what they were doing over there. And that's nothing against the people who served over there, obviously. It's not their fault. But, more or less it's the reporters. Now, I don't know if I'm going to be able to make this big on the fly. I'm going to try. Give me a second. It's been a minute. Nope. Oh, there we go. All right, I got it. So here we go. So this is the MK12 Mod 1. All right. If any of you guys still watching, sorry, I forget how to do this stuff from time to time. I don't do a whole lot of screen sharing. Okay, so I believe that is the Leopold scope was issued with the Mark 12. That is a very hard scope to find. They did reissue it at a pretty decent price, but even at the reissue launch, it was about $1,700. They go for about, I'd say, probably about 18 to $2,000, depending on condition. Obviously, I'm not worried about what looks to be a light. If you're not familiar, up front there by the muzzle device, that is not a light. That is an IR device that you can shine the IR laser and so you can kind of point shit out with night vision. I'm not worried about that because, quite frankly, there's not a whole lot of places to shoot around here at night, let alone a place with a 600-yard target that you can shoot at night. So I'm not worried about that. So that knocks off about $2,000 because those IR, the PEC 15s, Those are pretty pricey. So we don't have to worry about that. Now, the rail on that is going to be one of the biggest hurdles because, like I said, 6 months ago, when everybody was on the MK12 train, you could pick those up for about $400, brand new. You could order them from OP, all kinds of places on the internet. Now you cannot find them, and on Gone Broker, they're going for like $8,000 or like $8 to $1,000 or something crazy like that. But that's not to say that there were different rails that got put on the MK12. So it's a issue, but it's not the main issue. The main issue is obviously financials. Now, up front here, I believe is that's probably the original suppressor, but I believe there's a company that does clones of that suppressor, but it was designed specifically for that gun. The name escapes me. I apologize. Like I said, this is going to be a process, so we're going to learn all these parts. I just wanted to give you a little example. Now, this photo is from Lone Survivor, the movie, so if you want to go see pictures in a little bit more detail, there's always that. You can just go watch the movie there. But another reason why I wanted to show that is because all right, let's get here. Here's another MK12 Mod 1. Now, this one obviously doesn't have the camouflage paint job that the last one did. And don't get me wrong, this is a awesome looking gun. This is my it's a toss up between a Block 2 and the MK12 Mod 1, which one's my favorite clone guns. So I definitely like it. But when it's spray painted and looks like it's been thrown down a mountain, so much cooler. So much cooler. Let's see if we can find one that's been in country that's a little beat up. They're all from movie sets. I don't want to see a fucking movie set one. Here we go. All right, so this is a mod 0, but the point still remains. And like I said, one of the only difference here is the handguard. But look how much cooler it looks when it looks like it's actually been through some shit. So if somebody reaches out to me and says, "Hey, I have the scope rings, and I'm willing to let you buy them for a decent price because I think it's really cool what you're trying to do, and I just want to help." And if they look like that, I would be absolutely pumped. I'm not looking for brand new shit, and in fact, I'd prefer it not be brand new. Honestly, if they have anything that's actually surplus, I'd prefer that. But again, beggars can't be choosers, and I'm not asking for a free ride. Like I said, if somebody was to offer me just a little bit of a discount on some of this stuff, I would very much appreciate it, because it would speed up the process a little bit. My mouth is extremely dry, so I'm going to take a drink real quick, and then we're going to do the YouTube no-no. All right, so for YouTube purposes, I'm not touching a gun, YouTube. So you can just fuck right off. Okay? All right, this is not a gun. I might have to, there we go. I might have to back. Oh, no, my mic's not going to reach out, damn it. See how unprofessional I look? Now all my friends are going to think I'm a loser. Anyways. There we go. Maybe we'll do it like this. All right. So just for Facebook, YouTube purposes, no lower, right? This is not a gun. So fuck off. Anyways, this is a SOP mod Block 2. Around the same time that the military introduced the MK12 to get a little bit more distance out of the 5.56 round, these started being issued. And this was a program to upgrade their M4s. Now, if anybody has seen some of the Smith & Wesson MMP AR-15s, where they're very basic, they have the short handguard up front, and most of the barrel is exposed. If you could imagine that with like a little tiny quad rail, that's pretty much what the Block 1s look like. And it was just, like I said, an upgrade for the M4 platform. And the Mod 2 added a longer rail with more Picatinny to give them more capability. So it was easier to mount the PEC 15 with their IR device. It was easier to mount lights and such or whatever. And if you don't have experience with this, and I'm not assuming that anybody on Instagram doesn't, because I would imagine anybody that watches this on Instagram either has one, has built one, or just sold one. These are very common. These are probably one of the first guns that people clone. I've done two. During my financial hard times when I was injured at work, I had to pawn one, and I wasn't able to get it out. And I had all the cool shit on it. For whatever reason, when I pawned it, even though they don't give you no more money, I left the light on, I left the grip on, I left all the cool shit. I could have stripped that down and got just as much money, and I didn't do it. So obviously, now that I'm back on my feet and I've been back at work for a couple of years, I built. I didn't build this one. I bought it built. And the only thing I'm currently missing that I would really like to have is the 4-prong. See if, so see, this one's just the 3-prong, and it's the war comp. So it's actually a comp, not a flash hider. I want the 4-prong flash hider. For those of you who don't know, those were mainly what was put on these, if not just the standard A2s. And because that's a 14.5-inch barrel, technically it's a pistol, unless I get it pinned and weld. And I'm not going to get it pinned and weld until I get the 4-prong. So I need the 4-prong. And actually, that if anybody is, like I said, I'm not an expert by any means in the cloning community. I've just been messing around as a hobby for a while. If anybody can tell me these were actually used, I will pin and weld this one to my Block 2. The only issue is the original 4-prong can take the standard Surefire suppressors. And for those of you that know anything about suppressors, it's kind of a pain in the ass. You got to wait a really long time. Then you get a tax stamp. Then you can't really do anything other with it than shoot the shit out of it, destroy it, or transfer it. And then you're on the NFA and da-da-da-da-da. So I didn't look too much into it. But at one point in time, Charlie's Custom Clones, I'm not going to knock them. The guys have a lot of stuff that a lot of other people don't, but they are a little bit more pricey than most people. Well, they got a batch of these, and they say that they were used or issued in the military, and I never seen them sold to the civilian market. Maybe I wasn't looking, but this is pretty close. Hopefully I can get it. There we go. See how it has the 4 prongs? So on the ones that they used, they did not have this little groove in here. All right. So I don't know if these are prototypes, if they were ever used or issued in mass. If these were used and issued in mass and somebody could tell me, I would very much appreciate it, because then I don't have to go source a fucking flash hider you can't find anymore and UPS lost 2 or 3 years ago. But the biggest downside isn't so much these little grooves, because I actually think the grooves look pretty cool. The biggest downside is this had the Surefire quick detach. This is actually has like some knurling to it, so it cannot take standard Surefire suppressors. And if I'm going to buy $1,000 suppressor, I want it to be able to go on all of my guns, not just one. I would have to specifically buy the quick detach Surefire suppressor to be able to put it on my block 2 if I pin and weld this. But I don't plan on shooting it a lot suppressed. I'll probably save more of the suppressing and cans and stuff for the SBRs and some of the shorter guns. This one's just kind of my military cool kid gun, I guess. You know, like I said, I didn't serve, so I just think this is like the coolest thing on the planet. So, not to keep repeating myself, but if anybody can tell me if these were actually issued in the military, in the comments, on Instagram, wherever, I'd appreciate it, because that would save me a couple $100. And it just so happens the guy that has the MK12 upper that I'm going to look at tomorrow does pin and welding. So if he doesn't mind giving me his location and I can pick the upper up from him, I could possibly have him pin and weld my block 2 as well. And it would kind of be like killing 2 birds with 1 stone. And my ADD kicks on and off. So the whole spiel about the mailing and them losing parts and UPS is, fuck it. It's my dad. So my dad doesn't feel comfortable buying something that is obviously a gun part and having it sent through the mail. And I don't blame him, because he knows that it's not just going in the news cycle right now on mainstream media that UPS is destroying gun part packages and saying they're losing them. And they've officially come out and made a statement that it's up to their discretion what they think is a ghost gun or not. So I don't know if they're just destroying, you know, like the lower parts kits for Glocks, or if that's an upper or anything else. But I've shipped whole AKs through UPS. Thank God they've made it where they're going, but that's not always been the case. So I can't blame my dad for not wanting to spend that kind of money and have it shipped through UPS. And like I said, it's only a 3-hour drive, so that's where the process is going to start. I'm going to go to work tonight. I didn't get a lot of sleep, so it's going to be a long day. I'm going to work some overtime, because obviously all this stuff is going to cost a lot of money. And then I'm going to see what time he's open. If he doesn't have his hours open, I'll probably just DM him on Instagram. Maybe he'll even see the video. I don't know. Like I said, if he says it's cool to say his business name, I'll say his business name. I can just let you know up front he doesn't have a storefront, so he probably doesn't want people stopping by. Hopefully he makes the exception and we can start the journey tomorrow. And I will take you guys along the whole entire process. I will show you what the upper is made of. I will give you the name of the company that I bought it from. I will let you know how the experience was. I'll let you know how I found that company. Uh, Maybe we will even, I have this really badass camera, and the only thing I do is leave it on a tripod sitting here. Maybe we'll take the camera out and we can see some live reactions to my dad seeing the upper, because it he's kind of talking like it's going to be mine, and I guess in a way it will be someday, but it's not. It's for legal reasons. Obviously, it depends on which lower it's on to technically whose it is. If it's on his lower, it's his gun. If it's on my lower, then I guess it's my gun. But the upper itself, the project itself, the scope, the journey, the information, the data, all of that stuff, it's not mine and it's not his. It's gonna be ours, and hopefully, like I said, it can be something that's special that we'll have forever, and uh, maybe allow us to spend a little bit more time together. And hopefully, this is just a bump in the road and just a little bit of a scare. But I want to try to make the most of it just in case it's not just a scare. So before I start crying like a little bitch, I'm going to get off here. I appreciate you guys sticking around. Hopefully, share the video. Let anybody know what we're doing here about the project. Maybe we can get going. If you can even let me know where there's a good place to take a AR-15 out to about 500 yards. Anything would help. And I hope you guys enjoy the journey just as much as I'm going to. With that, guys, stay safe, stay prepared. God bless. America first. Peace, y'all.